Hello again. Today I'm going to talk again about conscientious AI use in a day-to-day production of a service company. It's interesting. The topic is discussed by everyone. There are so many posts and podcasts about it, but they're mostly high level and targeted at two different things. Either they're trying to impress us and say that next year we'll see a 300% increase in productivity and so on, or scare us and say that maybe 80% of us will be unemployed because of the AI. And I'm going to try and close this gap. In my first two podcasts dedicated to AI, I talked about general things, high level, that is, its limitations and gray areas. Today, we're going to close the gap and discuss particular things, workarounds, and the modern production process that involves heavy use of AI complemented by human effort by the designers and other specialists. I'll try to prove to you that human beings are still indispensable in the modern creative process. As our head of digital content division likes to put it, each object or piece generated by AI still requires a human designer or other specialist with a rasp to finalize it and make a commercial product. And I'm making an important disclaimer here. We're talking about professional quality. When it comes to entertaining ourselves or our friends, our expectations are much lower. But we're talking about something that we can produce as a service. And let's look more attentively at this image of a designer with a rasp generated by AI and figure out whether something is wrong or incongruous there. I really hope you've noticed it. Okay, here is the clue. The rasp should produce sawdust, not shavings. Shavings can be produced by a chisel or a plane. That's the difference. So it looks fine at the first glance, but is not definitely a professional level piece of graphic because it's factually incorrect and it's pretty obvious to a professional person. Let us remember that neural networks reproduce visual images based on their training and they try to create the most probable pattern. AI does not act as an artist, does not understand composition, and does not think contextually. Results may seem realistic at first glance, but very often proportions are violated, things are out of context, or particular things look extremely distorted, or the whole overall composition is meaningless. Let's also remember that various LLMs and applications can produce extremely and totally different results with the same query. And you need a professional designer who understands all nuances and details to select the application and the neural network properly. Let's discuss typical issues with AI-generated content and ways how designers polish, improve, fix, and finalize them. First of all, it's the fingers. They very often either come distorted or there is a wrong number of them. Just count the fingers here. Second, it's distorted anatomy. In this particular case, look at the head. It definitely looks disproportional. Other popular things include meaningless text or just garbage symbols, as well as weird postures and illogical object configurations. Look at these pictures. So the lady must be really a Valkyrie in order to accept this posture, instead of just looking like a normal young lady carrying a laptop. Now, let's think what's wrong with this particular guy in the animation. Okay, look at it. Okay, here is the clue. Apart from overemphasized emotions, there is one more very important and very funny thing here. The guy started with cleanly cropped hair, and suddenly, somewhere in the middle of the animation, his shaggy hair reaches down to his shoulders. This is weird. Let's look at another example. In this particular case, we needed to create images associated with security. AI generates images and styles in seconds, much, much faster than human beings. So let's look at the images that AI has created. Padlocks and shields. The most stereotypical, banal images for security. No ideas. Too plain. Doesn't work for us. The designer adds some creativity, some idea, some composition, and accuracy to the graphics. So let's look at how the final pieces look after the designer has worked on them. Banalities have transformed into solid images with meaning, coherence, and a whole story behind them. Another interesting example is illustrated by tasks where we need to create graphics using contradictory goals. For example, we need something that on one hand violates logic and on another hand it still preserves realism and also the accuracy of graphics and text. Well, in this case, we needed to create a complex illustration of a not very smart house. Okay, we knew that AI doesn't perform well under these conditions. So we only used it to prepare the building blocks. And then the final version has been produced by the designer in Adobe Photoshop. So these are the original building blocks. Simple, we've selected these ones to start with. And then the designer created the composition, finalized the shapes, and added text. Let's proceed with the next example. In this case, it was a very challenging task. We needed to create static banners using images of ethnically diverse people, and we needed several dozen of those ethnicities, all in the same style and color pattern and everything. If done by humans, that's an immense task that requires an endless number of work hours. So obviously, we did use AI. As I have already mentioned, AI generates images quickly. It's great. But each image generated by AI needs to be inspected under the microscope because it tends to distort details, including human anatomy, and add some artifacts. Let's look at this young lady with a card. Okay, first of all, the card looks fuzzy. I'm just giving you the clue. And second, for some reason, this young lady has 6 fingers on her left hand. Let's look at another example. Once again, a different ethnicity, very similar style, looks great. But once again, the card looks fuzzy and unnatural, and this lady has got only 3 fingers. Well, there is something about AI and fingers because probably it's its favorite topic for perversions.